Post 1. Am I the jerk for refusing to share my inheritance with my husband's family? My in-laws have never liked me, but now that I've inherited a large sum from my grandmother, they're demanding I share it with the whole family. My husband's caught in the middle, and I'm being called selfish for saying no. I'll admit I've never been my in-laws' favorite person. From the first time I met them, I could feel the chill. My husband, Mark, would brush it off with, "That's just how they are." But over the years, I've learned that how they are means they think everything should revolve around their family. And if you marry in, you better hand over your loyalty, your time, and apparently now your money. I grew up very differently. My parents taught me to stand on my own 2 feet and not expect handouts. My grandmother in particular was a rock in my life. She helped pay for my college tuition when my parents couldn't cover it, and she always made it clear that her savings were meant for her family by blood. Not in a cruel way, but she didn't believe in watering down her life's work for people she barely knew. When she passed away earlier this year, I was devastated. She had been ill for a while, but it didn't make it easier. After the funeral, her lawyer called me into his office to go over her will. I learned that she'd left me a significant inheritance, more money than I've ever had in my life. I was stunned. It's enough to pay off my student loans, put a down payment on a house, and maybe even start the small business I've been dreaming about. I told Mark about it that night, and while he was happy for me, I could see something in his expression. It wasn't greed exactly, but it wasn't just joy either. My mistake was thinking he'd keep the information between us. Within a week, his mother called me, not Mark, me, and congratulated me on our windfall. That's when the alarm bells went off. I asked what she meant, and she said, "Well, of course we'll all benefit from this. Your grandmother would have wanted to help the whole family." I told her as politely as I could that this was my inheritance, and I hadn't decided what to do with it yet. She laughed, and said, "Sweetie, you married into this family. What's yours is ours." From there, it's been nonstop. His sister wants money for a new car. His brother says he needs help with his mortgage. His parents have hinted they'd like to take a family trip to Europe, paid for by me. And every time I push back, they make it about loyalty and love. Apparently, love is only proven by writing checks. Mark's been weirdly quiet through all of this. Sometimes he says, "It's your money, do what you want." Other times he says, "It wouldn't hurt to help them out a little." It's like he's trying to play both sides so no one's mad at him. I've been calm so far, but it's starting to wear me down. This money is life-changing for me, and I don't think I should have to hand it over just to keep the peace. But in this family, not handing it over apparently makes me the bad guy. Post 2. Am I the jerk for refusing to share my inheritance with my husband's family? Part 2. It's been a week since my last post, and honestly, things have only escalated. I tried to set boundaries right away, told everyone that I wasn't making any decisions about the inheritance for at least a few months. I figured grief and emotions were still too fresh, and I needed time to think clearly. My mother-in-law responded to this by sending me an itinerary for a family vacation to Italy in August. Flights, hotels, tours, the whole thing. She included a note at the bottom. "We'll need to book this soon before prices go up. Can you transfer the money to my account this week so I can make the reservations?" I stared at the email for a full minute, just to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. When I showed Mark, he sighed and said, "Yeah, that's a lot. But maybe it's just her way of including you." I told him, "Including me in spending my own money?" He gave me this look, like I was being overly defensive, and said, "I'm not saying you have to do it, but she probably thinks this is a nice way to bring everyone together. Here's the thing, I don't want to go on a trip with people who treat me like an ATM, and I'm not about to fund a luxury vacation for 7 people who've done nothing but make my life harder for the past decade." It's not just the vacation either. His sister, let's call her Claire, texted me a link to a used SUV she found a great deal on, saying she just needed a little help with the down payment. His brother hinted that his house needs urgent repairs before winter, and now his parents are floating the idea of combining resources so we can all buy a larger home and live together. which is not something I ever agreed to or wanted. The most infuriating part is that they don't even ask me. They just tell me what they're going to do and expect me to nod along. Mark, to his credit, has started telling them to back off, but it's always in this half-hearted way, like he's scared to actually upset them. He'll say things like, maybe we should give her some time, instead of, it's her money, stop asking. I finally sat him down and told him I need him on my side, not straddling the fence. His response, I am on your side, but I can't control what they say. I told him, you don't have to control what they say, but you can control whether you entertain it or not. I think that hit a nerve because he got quiet after that. The last straw this week was when I overheard my mother-in-law on the phone with one of her friends talking about finally being able to pay off the mortgage, thanks to me. Like it was already a done deal. I know it sounds dramatic, but I'm starting to feel like if I don't put my foot down hard right now, I'm going to lose all control of this situation. Post 3, the reading of the will. When the lawyer's office called to say that my father-in-law's will was being read, I didn't think much of it. My husband Eric and I hadn't exactly been kept in the loop about his dad's finances. In fact, we were told point blank years ago that the family home and assets would stay with Eric's mother and be distributed fairly after she passed. What caught my attention was the fact that we got the invitation at all. His parents had made it pretty clear that they considered us the black sheep, mainly because we didn't let them control our lives. We'd spent years enduring their guilt trips, manipulative comments, and uninvited pop-in visits where they'd criticize our home, my cooking, and even my appearance. So when we walked into that oak-paneled conference room and saw the entire extended family gathered, my gut said something was off. His mom barely acknowledged me. She was wearing her church smile, the one she uses when she's about to say something awful, but wants to look saintly doing it. The lawyer began reading. Small bequests to cousins and distant relatives, donations to charities, and then he reached the part about the house and major assets. That's when my stomach dropped. Be inherited by my son, Eric, provided that he fulfills the condition of relocating back into the family home and maintaining it for a minimum of 5 years, during which his mother will reside with him. I swear the air went out of the room. The rest of the family looked shocked, but not as shocked as me. I turned to Eric, expecting him to laugh at the absurdity, but instead he looked frozen. His mother, she was practically glowing. 5 years, living under the same roof as her, giving up our life, our careers, and our home to move back into the crumbling old house she refused to downsize from. And the worst part? The way she immediately started talking as if it were a done deal. Oh, this will be so nice for us. We can finally be a real family again, and you'll take care of the house, like your father wanted. And of course, I can help you with the children. We don't have children. She knows we don't want them. She's just never accepted it. I could feel my blood pressure spiking. This wasn't an inheritance, this was a leash. When we got home that night, Eric admitted that part of him felt obligated. It's the house I grew up in, he said. Dad always wanted me to take care of Mom. I told him point blank, Eric, your dad also wanted us to be happy. Do you think giving up everything we've built to go live under her thumb for 5 years is going to do that? He didn't answer, but I could tell he was torn. And that scared me, because I've seen how persuasive his mother can be when she smells even the tiniest bit of hesitation, and I had a sinking feeling she was just getting started. Post 4, the pressure campaign. If I thought my mother-in-law was going to give us space to think about the will's terms, I was wildly mistaken. Within 2 days, she was showing up at our front door with home-cooked meals, read leftovers from her fridge that she wanted to get rid of, and talking like we had already packed our bags. Oh, I stopped by the house today, she said, meaning the old family home. The upstairs bedroom would be perfect for you two, and I've already started clearing out space for your things. I tried to shut it down with a polite, we haven't decided anything yet, but she waved it off like I was a child interrupting an adult conversation. Oh, honey, there's nothing to decide. This is what your father wanted. And you know how important family tradition is. That tradition she was talking about. The unspoken rule that the eldest son takes care of his mother until she dies, no matter the personal cost. It was never said out loud, but everyone in Eric's family knew it. The phone calls started next. First it was her, then it was Eric's sister, then cousins, all of them delivering variations of the same message. Don't be selfish. Think of your mother. Think of the house. One even had the gall to say, "It's not like you have kids to worry about. You have all the time in the world to take care of her." I wish I could say Eric brushed it off, but I could see him starting to fold. His voice got softer when talking to her. He stopped pushing back in the moment. And at night, he'd say things like, "Maybe it wouldn't be so bad. We could save money on housing." Housing? We own our house. We worked years to get here. This wasn't about saving money. It was about control. Then came the kicker, a family dinner at his mother's place. When we arrived, it was clear she'd turned it into an ambush. She had a printed list of benefits to moving back in, including free childcare, again, we don't have kids, and help with laundry, something I would never let her near after she shrunk my favorite sweater into doll clothes years ago. She also slipped in one little gem. And of course, when I pass, the house will be all yours. You'll have something to pass on to your children. There it was again, the assumption that our lives were just waiting to be molded into her vision. When Eric hesitated, she put on the waterworks. Full tears. "I just don't want to be alone in that big house. It's so scary at night." I would have felt bad if I hadn't heard her brag to a cousin the week before about how peaceful and safe the neighborhood was. By the end of the night, I could see Eric was cornered, and I knew if I didn't find a way to break this cycle fast, we'd be spending the next 5 years, maybe longer, trapped under her roof. And she would love every second of it. Post 5, the catch in the will. I thought the whole inheritance thing was just a dangling carrot she was using to guilt trip us into moving in. I figured if we refused, it would just quietly disappear into the same vault where all her other family promises had gone, but then a certified letter arrived at our house. It was from the family's lawyer, the same one who handled Eric's father's estate. The letter was short, formal, and ice cold. Per the stipulations in the late Mr. D's will, the property located at address shall be transferred to Eric D. on the condition that he resides at said property for a minimum period of 5 consecutive years, immediately following the current occupant's passing or voluntary vacating of the premises. Failure to comply will result in forfeiture of the property, which shall instead pass to the alternate beneficiary. The alternate beneficiary? His cousin Kyle, the one who'd been circling like a vulture since the funeral. Eric read it twice, then turned to me with that look, the one he gets when he's about to say something I really don't want to hear. "So if we just move in for 5 years, the house is ours. That's a pretty good deal." I couldn't believe it. "You mean 5 years of living with your mother breathing down my neck, dictating when we can leave the house, who we can have over, and what we do with every spare dollar we earn. You think that's a good deal?" He flinched, but I could see the gears turning. It wasn't just about the house. It was about not losing to Kyle. Eric and Kyle had a decades-long rivalry over who could please the family more, and his mother knew it. This will clause was practically engineered to weaponize it. Over the next week, the pressure campaign doubled. His mother started calling every night, sweet as sugar, asking if we'd made the right decision yet. Kyle, on the other hand, started texting Eric things like, "Better make your move before I do." The more they pushed, the more I realized this wasn't about inheritance at all. It was about ownership, not of the house, of us. Then I got the real gut punch. Buried in the legalese was a clause I hadn't noticed before. If we moved in, we wouldn't just be living there rent-free. We'd be responsible for all upkeep, property taxes, and repairs. In other words, we'd be paying for the privilege of being her full-time caretakers. I put my foot down, hard. "We're not doing this, Eric. I don't care if the house is made of solid gold. Your mother does not get to buy 5 years of our lives." He didn't respond right away, but I could see the doubt in his eyes. And I knew his mother would see it too. Post 6, the last push. I honestly thought that refusing would end it, that once we'd said no, she'd just redirect her scheming toward Kyle and leave us alone. I was wrong. 2 nights after our final argument about the house, Eric's mother showed up on our doorstep. No warning, no call, just her standing there with a cake. Not just any cake, his favorite from the fancy bakery downtown, the one she usually insists is too expensive for regular people. "Can I come in?" she asked sweetly. I knew better than to say yes, but Eric stepped aside before I could speak. She made herself comfortable at the kitchen table like she owned the place, carefully slicing the cake and serving it on our plates. Then she slid a folded document toward Eric. "It's an addendum to the will," she said, as though she were offering him a party favor. "I've decided to remove the upkeep and tax clause. You just have to live there for 5 years and then the house is yours outright. No strings attached." I caught the tiniest smile twitch across her face when she said, "No strings attached." It was the kind of smile people get when they're telling you they've buried the knife just deep enough that you can't see the hilt. Eric's hand hovered over the paper. He didn't sign it, but he didn't push it away either. And that's when she went in for the kill. She leaned forward, lowered her voice like she was sharing a secret, and said, "You owe me this, Eric. After everything I've done for you, after the sacrifices I made to keep this family together, after your father died, you'd rather see your cousin get it? You'd rather let all my work go to waste?" It was so calculated, so manipulative, that I almost laughed. Almost. But then she looked at me. "And you, dear, I thought you cared about stability, about building a life. Or do you just like dragging my son from one rental to another, never putting down roots?" It took every ounce of self-control not to throw her out right then. I stood up and said, "We're done. You need to leave." Her eyes narrowed. "If you make him walk away from this, he will resent you for the rest of your life." Eric didn't say a word. He just sat there, staring at the cake, like it might hold the answer to every problem in his life. She left without another word, but I could feel it in my bones. This wasn't over. She wasn't giving up the house. She wasn't giving up control. And if Eric couldn't see what she was doing, then maybe I'd have to decide whether I could stay married to someone who could.